Hi guys, you can tell it's August in, well, we're still in restrictions because we're back in the cave like we were last year. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, buy beer, whatever, everything else that YouTube requires. This is actually a slightly difficult one. It's also slightly serious, and it's being recorded here because last night's recording was awful. It was out of focus for one thing, which is a bit peculiar knowing this camera. And it's actually quite serious in a way. It's something that's going to crop up again, certainly in Church of the Dispossessed, but in a far broader form. We're looking at flat Earth, as you know. People are trying to convince me to be a flat earther, and I'm having big problems. Well, they keep telling me, well, it must be a flat Earth because God did it. So I've had a look. I've had a think. Thinking is as important, at least as important as what you read in whatever scripture you want to follow. You need to think about what it says. You need to think about what you can see and observe out there in the real world and what others have observed. And before we end up degenerating into truth theory, I will shut up. So I'm going to compare conventional God, that's the God of the majority of the Christian church, the God of Islam, the God of Hinduism, the God of Sikhism, the God of I said Islam, Judaism, that's the last one, and Buddhism is another matter. We will not complicate the issue further, and we're going to look at the flat earth God. So I'm going to start with this conventional God, the one that the majority of believers believe in, of no matter what faith, and exactly what they have done. And because of the nature of my background, we will start off with a bit of Christianity and the creeds that are used, hopefully at Mass, every Mass. If they're not, there might be something slightly wrong there somewhere. Which start very simply. We believe in one God, the Father Almighty, creator of heaven and earth, and of all that is, seen and unseen. Now it's that last phrase, of all that is, seen and unseen, creator of everything. Whether we can see it or not, doesn't matter, it was created by God. Okay, fine. That includes the flat earth, but it also includes what we can see and what we can observe and measure, and we can do that at night, and we can do that during the day, and we can look at our sun, we can look at the length of our shadows, we can look at how they change and how their angle changes. We can compare that with people living in other countries. And the world suddenly doesn't seem to work quite so well flat. We can also look up at night at the stars of the sky and the moon and the other planets, and we can see a cosmos, and it is beautiful. Let's have some pictures of the cosmos. Don't know what they are, they're quite random. I'm chucking them in after I've said this. But what we do see is something quite amazing, something vast, something larger than the human mind can comprehend. Infinitely complex. Well, don't like infinity, so actually I do, but that's not a meaningful thing to say. But it gives us an impression of how complex the universe is, and how absolutely enormous it is. We can't even see Well, we don't know how much we can't see because we can't see it to measure it to know how much it is. But it might not be that much. It could be many, many, many times what we can see. It's utterly beautiful. And if we go with the scientific view, created from an infinitesimal and infinitely small point. I find that absolutely wondrous. What does the flat Earth give us? Oh, one of these, a snow dome, and that's about it. The creative power of the flat Earth God runs to a snow dome. The creative power of a conventional God runs to a cosmos. Okay, right, we could stop now, but I'm not going to. I just want to think about one or two other things. What are the implications of the snow dome? This dome over the Earth. Effectively a cage. So the flat Earth God has created a cage. Somewhere for us to live, which should suffice for all our needs. Excludes us from exploring further than perhaps we might want to. And from a round Earth point of view and a science point of view, we have. It keeps us under control. It's a forgery. All the cosmos is sort of painted on the dome or projected on the dome somehow, and yeah, it's just a big con. Is that really something that a God with the attributes that religions give to God, of this loving nature and this great forgiveness, and the free will is denied because we haven't got the free will to escape and go out and look at the rest of the cosmos because we're inside a cage, in fact a goldfish bowl, where God can look on us, Mars, occasionally open it up and say, don't want that one anymore, sling it away. Oh, there's a bit of roof there. Pick up that one, don't want that one anymore, sling it away, don't like them anymore, so we'll just squash them. It's actually quite scary when you think of all the implications of the Earth being encased in this bubble from which it cannot escape. The flat Earth does not work in a religious sense. There's going to be more on this because there is a lot more on this. There's a lot about the early Christian thinkers and even pre-Christian thinkers who were convinced that the Earth is a sphere and remained convinced that the Earth is a sphere. There's how we should be looking at the Bible, which we tend to do wrong, very wrong. There's how we should learn. If you're a Christian, and so far you've been blundering around taking the Bible, I was going to say as gospel, taking the Bible as literal truth, you're not reading it properly, because you'd soon see that there's lots of reasons why you shouldn't, even within it. If you've rejected science, just remember why you're still alive. Just remember how you're seeing this. Just remember how you get the news, how you talk to your friends with your mobile phones, how you go to see them with your cars, or if they're further away, with your aeroplanes, which are still flying on the tangent round the Earth. They don't have to nose down. Simplest things of science that you learn in school about the compass. And I heard the other day, and this is what promoted this video, I can't remember which one of the flat earthers it was, that said a compass has never pointed south. My best mate happens to be a theoretical physics by training. Theoretical physics? A theoretical physicist by training. And I mentioned this to him, and a compass always points south. Well, yeah, don't need to tell me. I know that. The opposite end of that needle, the opposite end, the end that isn't pointing north, is always pointing south. It has no choice. Where else can it point? Unless you're saying there is no south. And hopefully in our next video I have another good friend who is very, very upset about that. It must also upset the flat earthers from Australia and things, because we've heard that Australia doesn't exist. It's not a common, well, I don't know whether it's common or not, it's not a belief through all flat earthers certainly, but some are saying that Australia, New Zealand, in fact, you know, everything south of the equator does not exist. You know, it's a lie, it's a fib. Well, if it was put there by their God, then there's another reason to reject it. But if it were, you know, if it wasn't put there by their God, or put into our minds by their God, how did we come to dream up this idea of a southern hemisphere? If there is no southern hemisphere, there is no northern hemisphere. You cannot have a hemisphere without there being a parent sphere. It's a bit philosophical, but yeah, accept it. It's actually made me very angry, because I can see deeply into the problems with this, and I can see where it could go. I'm also very aware that this isn't framed too well, but this is a very cramped space. That's enough for now, before I really start going off on wild ones and getting, you know, really quite angry. And I do try to follow Creaky Blinder's example of being, he's in control, he's calm, he doesn't lose his temper. And I know I seriously could, with the utter stupidity, especially when you bring God into it. I have a good backgrounding in science, but my main study has been theology and philosophy. So when I see this thing out there, this creative thing out there somewhere, and in a certain way we're now thinking about it in academic theology, being mutilated into something that is pointless, weak, and really rather useless, it annoys me immensely. And just for you know, the atheist philosophers out there, yeah, I know where Nietzsche was coming from, and in many ways I, and many like me, agree. Now, read The Antichrist if you don't know what I'm talking about. It's not the easiest of books, but yeah, two things leap out of it, and one of which is Nietzsche's respect for Christ, and the other of what he thinks of Christians, and I think with good reason. That's enough. I'm going to shut up now. I'm going to give you the usual message. We'll see you again soon. Don't forget, you know, especially share. Drive carefully, dear, and we'll see you all soon.